Brief, but sorry for the delay, everyone. My ISP decided to do a maintenance check, and it caused my internet to go out for a little while. But I'm here. I'm alive. I'm well. So I'm just gonna let that be my introduction, and yeah, we'll get right into this run in 3, 2, 1, go. So, the Lawnmower Man. I'm sure some people must have heard of the movie at this point, but we're gonna choose Pierce Brosnan because he's Pierce Brosnan, and he plays the character Dr. Angelo, and he's a center focal point in the actual movie. So this is a little bit of a tricky jump here. I got it second try, though. Pretty tight window. It saves just a few seconds to get to this part here. But yeah, sort of the game mechanics. There's all sorts of different types of... This is a game that's just full of a mishmash of different types of gameplay elements. Like, they got us moving through this auto-scrollery, like, first-person's perspective virtual reality sections. They call them cyber sections. And then you got this run and gun section. Here's a little skip here. We got it first try. So that skip there skips an entire mini-boss. And yeah, that's about a 30-second time save. The reason you can actually do that is because when you charge shot, you gain extra jump height. You gain extra height to your jump. But that's how you can skip that one section there. We're actually coming up to our legit first mini-boss we're going to fight, but it isn't going to look like much of a fight. And that's because we could simply duck right under him and just do that. Yeah, he showed up and then he was gone pretty much as soon as he showed up. Alright, so on to the next cyber section here. This time we have a gun, and these are reserved strictly for the war zones. And the goal here is simple. We gotta kind of traverse through the landscape, and then we're gonna take a little pit stop, and we gotta shoot these space invaders. 5 per section that we stop at. This is a pretty luck-intensive part of the run. There's a lot of that in this game. That's one thing you're gonna have to get used to if you ever actually pick up this game. Luck is very much just centered around like, this is just a small portion of the luck that's involved in this run. Like, I think my sum of best is still almost a full minute faster than my actual PB is. And I never was able to get that optimal luck, at least not yet anyway. But yeah, 5 space invaders per section, and you know, if they spawn in the wrong section that I'm not covering, they're just generally going to get away. There's some pretty fast patterns there. But yeah, as far as the run and gun sections are concerned, we have a charge up shot ability, and that's in just a regular sort of regular standard sort of weapon. Actually gonna take that part a little bit safe. So we're actually coming up to one of the nastier fights in the game. This is actually a fight against a gas station, and this is somewhat good luck. We want these things to kind of lay low, and I kind of should stay relatively far away, because sometimes they like to swing out at me and actually hit me. We don't want them to stay high, because that actually forces us to commit, so that we don't lose time. And that's kind of dangerous with these fire snakes kind of flying out. This is the one safe spot that I'm sitting at right now. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm taking that hit for sure. Okay, so unfortunately, we kind of really messed this fight up pretty badly. And now he's kind of trolling me a little bit here. We'll come back. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit of a luck-intensive fight there. Very commonplace for my run to die on that fight. And now time for one of the most technical parts of the run. Cyber run is actually pretty tricky. for the most part, because in order for us to go fast here, we need to hold on to turbo and we need to press and hold down, because both of those things makes us go faster. And it's pivotal that I hold on to this turbo here for much of this midway point here, because I don't get another one, and I can't actually hold down here. Ooh, that was close. Kept our speed. We're all good. But it's also very difficult to avoid the hazards, so you really have to anticipate when the hazards are going to come, so that you can bob it and weave like so. All right, and if you can keep your turbo speed and hold down, you can actually go so fast that the walls can't even stop you. They actually don't have an active hitbox until they fully close off. Okay. Still do this. Okay, so we're at the factory right now, and there's a couple despawns here. Oh, you actually got a mini boss despawn right there. So I guess I'll kind of explain that part. Oops. So the thing is, this game kind of has a bit of a problem, and that problem is that if you overload the sprite limit, you can actually despawn a lot of things in the game, and that includes power-ups and CDs, which CDs you need to upgrade to your suit, which allows you to actually take a hit. But a thing that can also be despawned are mini-bosses, which, as you can expect in the speed run, is very beneficial. And we're going to try to take advantage of that. Our second mini-boss we're going to try to despawn is in the next room after this one here, right after this mini-boss. And this next upcoming room is actually really important, because following that despawn is going to be a death ward. And this saves about 2 minutes in the run, so it's a very, very big part of it's very critical I land this, because there's a lot of different hazards I have to try to navigate around if I don't get this death ward. So I'm just going to be quiet here and focus just a little bit. Okay, good. Got the despawn on the helicopter mini-boss. Need to kill him. And then we're going to jump right on top of him and enter the door. And that will take us straight to Cyber War Zone 2. So we just saved 2 minutes in the run by doing that. And so now we move on to our second random luck factor with our second bout with the Space Invaders. And this time it's a little more hazardous because they're quite a bit more aggressive, and there's a lot more defenses for them to hide behind. So getting hits is actually pretty difficult. Very difficult to optimize it properly. We got one more round with them. Same exact sort of castle-like wall. And like before with the other one, there's some patterns that are just really hard to react to. But we made it. And we're out of there. So now we got a little bit of time to actually breathe in the factory. Where we still got one more mini boss we gotta try and despawn. This one is the hardest one to get. That's coming up here, but it's also kind of dependent on luck anyway, so I'm not really too worried about it, whether or not I get it or not. But first we gotta fight these bees here, and yeah. You might think this is kind of like a meme fight, like why even put these rogue bees, but it's actually canon to the movie. Like there's an ability that Job uses, and it actually does involve using bees, sort of like as a hallucination of sorts. All right, so we're coming up to our last mini boss despawn here in the factory. This is dependent on the luck of these enemies here. We're not gonna get it. Yeah, because I kind of messed up the perspective there. That's okay, though. Because we can simply just kind of camp behind here. There's nothing this gun can really do once we're behind him here. That was mostly my fault, though. That wasn't really the enemies not cooperating. It was mostly just me messing with the camera there. But we're all good. We're gonna move on to the jump fight. So this is the main villain of the game. You might be familiar with this guy. Definitely a face that's not quite as terrifying as the box art. So if there's one thing, this game may not have the amazing cutscenes that you've all have seen in other games. But if there is one thing this game definitely does have, it is the most how should I put this? The most terrifying looking box art the world has ever seen. Like, if there's one thing you need to look up the box art for this version of the game. It's truly, truly terrifying. There's nothing really much for me to discuss with this fight. Most of this is just luck involving Job. It's just kind of bobbing back and forth and not staying in the line of fire. Otherwise, it's just a MASH-centric fight. So, I mean, you have some time for a few donations.
Awesome. We have $10 from Noisy Toy. It says, "Hey, d4gr0n, great to see you back at GDQ and running those top-tier games." Good luck, my man. Peace and love.
Tier.
We have $25 from Droth the Destroyer. This Contra reboot looks really trippy. When do we start mowing lawns? Much love to GDQ and the Awful Games block.
Yeah. So I don't want to disappoint people, but we're not going to see a Lawnmower. So I should probably now explain So the thing with the title, why it's called this, is because the name, the Lawnmower Man, is actually the nickname of the villain we're actually fighting right now. Like, he kind of became this. He was this rather simple person, sort of like an adult kind of trapped, or a child trapped in an adult's body of sorts. I guess that's kind of how the movie explains it. But through the experiments by Dr. Angela to make him smarter, he kind of became a madman, and yeah, this is the final product of that. So that's kind of where the name comes from. But if you do want to know, in the movie, someone does die from a lawnmower. I'm not even kidding. That actually happens. I know some people might knock on the movie, and I would technically say it's not really a good movie, but I don't regret watching it. So it's not horrible. Anyway, continue, because we got another auto-scroller here, and I definitely want to focus on this part. This part can be pretty scary.
We have a $50 anonymous donation. Thought I woke up too late, the Lawnmower Man, so I'm glad there was a delay. I still have no idea why we owned this game, but I distinctly remember playing the first 2 levels and then never getting any farther.
Yeah, this game is actually pretty tough. And, I mean, it was so tough that last time this was featured, it couldn't actually be completed, and most of that was due to kind of poor game design by the developer side. But yeah, I won't. That's strictly talking about co-op and stuff.
You say back end is I was gonna say we have a quick $5 donation from Alex Rex. Still has better flying than Superman 64.
Yeah, that's probably true. So I got backward shot here, and this is a really big problem because this really slows down my rate of fire. I was hoping to avoid it. There's a number of things with this auto-scroller. For one, you need to collect a lot of, I think, combo multiplier ups in order to boost your defense so you don't die instantly. The other thing is to avoid the backward shot, which I did not do. And the other real problem with this section here is to go fast, you really need a lot of red arrows. And that's because they function as a turbo speed. Like you hit one, you go real super fast. So you need a lot of them to actually save a lot of time here. It's kind of awful like that. So here's one right here. There is some backup strats I can resort to, though, now that I do have the backward shot. But we'll get to that when we do. Anyway, continue. Yep, I'll make sure that they are. I'll make sure they are warned of that. It's pretty terrible. People didn't get to experience that the first time this game was featured, but I am determined to get revenge for them in this game, and that does mean exposing them to that. So we're not quite there yet. We still gotta crack through a security code. I don't know. Apparently it's Cyber 2. I don't know how it makes sense, but apparently that's what's going on here. We're kind of at the point where we've divulged from the movie lore-wise. Like, we've already dealt with Job, who was the main villain of the movie. But apparently in the game, the shop and quote-unquote the Doom player, who is the main final villain, they actually control Job, which is definitely not what happens in the movie. So that's already vastly inaccurate. But that's okay, you know. We will forgive the development team for that one, because obviously, I think at the time this game was made, there was talks of a sequel, which I hear is really, really bad, and I don't know how bad it is. I don't think I'm ever going to find out. But whatever the case may be, we have to vanquish, we have to destroy the shop, we have to kill the ringleader of the entire of the bad guys from the shop, which would be in this case Zorn or Doom player. So we're almost done. We're almost done with the Cyber 2 here. Now, going into the shop here is kind of... we're kind of in an iffy situation here because of the backward shot. So I mentioned our rate of fire is kind of slowed down significantly due to backward shot. Oh, by the way, the shop is great because we have some classic villains here, like this vending machine. Because why not? Yeah, and this is why there's a bit of a problem here with the backward shot. I think we still have it because for whatever reason, dying with 0 lives actually doesn't make us lose any of our power-ups. I'm gonna wait for these CDs. All right, so I'm probably gonna take a hit here. Yep, I tried to jump over that, but it did not quite work out. Yep. It's really tough to actually navigate through these enemies. Oh, God. Okay, so we're kind of in a bit of trouble now. So that's 2 continues I think I just used up. I don't think I got another one. So we're gonna have to play real smart here now. The shop is going exactly as I expected it to. See, this is why backward shot is a real problem to have. When your rate of fire is slowed, you gotta be able to compensate in other ways. Like, you gotta be able to use your charge shot effectively, and I'm just not quite as good with that. It's okay though. So here are these scientists, and I don't have the means to be able to 2-cycle them. That's the fastest way to deal with them. We're gonna actually kind of take a little bit of a detour here, because here we get the ring weapon. Now, ring weapon is not as good as homing bullets are, but they do serve relatively well, and what's most important is it doesn't matter if I have backward shot or not with it. But I really can't take a hit here, and this is a very likely place I will take a hit, if anywhere. Just gonna play it real safe. Okay. So getting past the bees is really, really good. We're gonna shot these guys. And yeah, just another refight here. This guy's not really a big deal, so you do have some time for some more donations.
We have a $5 donation from Zach. Lawnmower is one of my favorite bad games. Me and a friend have spent a lot of time trying to beat this thing. Can't wait to see it destroyed.
Well, hopefully I do destroy it. It's not looking too promising right now, but we are past the worst of the shop at this point. So as long as I don't choke to the final boss, that shouldn't be a problem.
And we have a $250 donation from TW Moda. Greetings, GDQ. What a good way to start another year by watching my childhood games get crushed. Thanks to all the crew and runners for making this event happen. Money goes to Halo 3 incentive. And a quick update. We are just shy of $12,500 for Halo 3. We have a long way to go, but I know we can get there. Please, anything you can do to help us get there is much appreciated.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for this chair. Yeah, that was definitely the smart play. All right, so weapons now don't really matter at this point, and neither really does having a suit. I'm pretty much past the point of danger from any part of the running gun, because all that remains now is this cyber section here, which is relatively easy compared to some of the other ones I just dealt with. And after that's going to be our final cyber war zone, which, I mean, I've already kind of talked about the vast amount of luck factors with that. So let's talk about what follows this, the final boss, because there is much to go over with this final boss. So the Doom player has four phases of attacks in his arsenal. Some definitely a lot more dangerous than others. But the main thing, and the main big problem with this fight, is that you're kind of restricted in your movement to the bottom third of the screen. Like, there's an invisible barrier that you can't cross further up, so your movement is actually much more limited. It makes the fight much harder than it would seem. Like, I'm not actually trying to make it harder on myself by staying at the bottom of the screen, but that it just so happens that you can't be away from the bottom part of the screen, and that's just how the fight works. Now, because of my life situation, how many lives I've actually lost at this point, I'm not going to try for the quick kill strat, because I am determined to actually finish this game and not get a game over. Like I said, I swore vengeance for the last time this game was ran at a GDQ, because where it died last time was to this boss. It is not a joke of a fight. It really is a fitting final fight. So I want to try to get a homing weapon, and I want to try to lure this guy to the left side of the screen. This is to set up for phase 2. And that's because phase 2 has an attack that has a massive hitbox and visually, or like, its actual hitbox actually lingers far further behind it than what it shows visually. So it's actually, I actually cannot get any closer than that, because even though it's visually way past, the hitbox actually goes way, it like lingers way behind it. So like I almost got hit there. All right, so I got quite a bit of damage, so now I think I can probably start being a bit more aggressive. So normally the quick kill strat is to just do what I like to call the all or nothing strat, where I just tank the hits and just try to bob and weave past all the damage sources. But as you can expect, it's very, very risky, and if you don't have the health for phase 4, you're just gonna lose a lot of that time on that phase. Okay. So this is the final phase. So once again, I want to give a bit of a warning about the ending. There's a lot of bright flashing colors. It's very bad on the eyes, and you definitely don't want to look at it. It's going to happen as soon as he dies, which is going to be very shortly here. And that's time. So, yeah, not the cleanest run, and but that's the Lawnmower Man. Not sure what my time was, but definitely, I can imagine it probably didn't even cut the 25, which is a little disappointing, given the fact that my personal best is like a 22:39. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, it's like 22 full seconds of nothing but flashing colors. It's really bad. I hoped everyone averted their eyes before it happened. I did try to warn ahead of time. It's strong enough to put Pulseman to shame. See, like I've ran Pulseman, and that's pretty intense on the eyes. So when I say even that is put to shame by the end of this game, that should tell you everything you need to know. I guess as far as parting last words, oh well, first of all, I gotta do this. Anytime you have to put in a name, you gotta at least do that. I know this is an awful games block, but it has a soft place in my heart. Like, even among games that are considered awful, I think this game has a lot going for it as far as speed tech, tricks, and you know, there's enough luck variances to really to make it be a case of anything can happen, and any run has a chance of being a personal best for mine, even if it looks like it's not looking like the greatest of paces and whatnot. Oh, and there's my favorite character right there. Has the deadest face, and this doesn't change in the movie. I swear he did not want to be casted in this role every time I see his face. And yeah, that's the Lawnmower Man. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you so much, d4gr0n, for that. Really, really, give me a second. I got to blink a couple times, but we're good. And that run was great. And we have a $5 donation from 8 that says, d4gr0n, I am thrilled that your internet is behaving because the world needs to see this run. You're one of the most skilled runners I know, and I'm proud to call you a friend. Best of luck, dude. We have a $50 donation from Vad. Just says, love GDQ. Keep being awesome. And a $25 donation from Gavata Koros. Love watching GDQ with my husband. Thanks to all the runners, organizers, and hosts for contributing to such a fun and positive community. We have $10 from Lachelle. Thank you guys for doing... Excuse me. Thank you guys for doing such amazing things. 6th year watching. I'm always tuning in when it's time for GDQ. And we have a $100 donation from Adam. Thank you all for a welcome distraction today and for raising money for a good cause. A close friend's mother is battling cancer, and our thoughts are with her and everyone else fighting this disease. Want to give a quick update on the Halo 3 incentive. We are still just right shy of $12,500. That's a $160,000 donation or incentive, sorry, to hit Halo 3, our next bonus game. It is a long way to go, but we have the power of all of you to help us raise enough money to hit that incentive. So anything you are able to donate is very much appreciated. Speaking of Halo, there is a bid war for this upcoming run of Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for red versus blue tunics. Red versus blue tunics. totally just tunics and has nothing to do with red versus blue anything else. Now, right now, red is in the lead, but only by about $130. So if you want to have an influence on red versus blue tunics, for the Link's Awakening DX run, you still have some time to donate and help us keep the train going to raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. And right now, we are going to send it to Feasel for an interview.
Hello, everybody. I'm Feasel, and I am here with GlyphDX, who's going to be running Link's Awakening coming up soon. So hello, Glyph. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you're going to be running the category 100% no out of bounds, no wrong warps. So what kind of out of bounds and wrong warps is that referring to?
Yeah, out of bounds refers mostly to screen transitioning on a solid tile, on a tile that Link's not supposed to be able to stand on normally, which is just a little bit too broken for the purposes of this category. And wrong warping is the glitch you might know as the doghouse glitch, where you enter the doghouse from behind, and that puts you into a very, very glitched world. It can do all sorts of shenanigans, and so we won't be doing that.
Right. But you are choosing to do this without the out of bounds and wrong warps, but that kind of has its own sort of appeal, right? What is the appeal of this version of the category? How does that differ?
Yeah, this version of the category, I guess you can kind of equate it to same thing as in Link to the Past. You have no major glitches. That's kind of what this is, except it's still kind of uses some major glitches, but it's the same kind of like appeal to it, where it's a lot more, overworld movement and just normal dungeon playthrough. That's a little bit more playing the game as intended compared to where you're just wrong warping everywhere and glitching everywhere. And so that kind of category has its appeal. It's kind of player preference of what category they want to kind of run.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people maybe identifying with this category because it's a little bit closer to their experience with the game.
Yep.
But even with that restriction, there are still plenty of glitches in this run, right?
Absolutely. To name a few, we're going to be doing glitches with the feather called super jumping that allows us to go through a lot of tiles in dungeons and kind of trick the game into making us jump off a ledge, even if we're not really on top of a ledge. And the other glitch we do is called bomb triggering, event triggering, bomb glitch, whatever you want to call it, where you place two bombs on the screen at the same time through various methods. And that will kind of cause a cutscene to just play arbitrarily out of nowhere. And so that is used to skip loads and loads of gameplay.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how that works. Just the bombs on the screen just despawns these cutscenes, triggers, and things. But we'll be getting more into that, of course, during the commentary of the run itself. But it is really interesting just to see that, even with what seems like a very, restricted thing here, banning all the wrong warps and out of bounds, so there's still actually just a ton of speed tech in it, maybe even more so than the other run,
Oh, yeah.
So 100% is the other distinction here, which is that basically just like it's like any percent, but you're adding a few extra item pickups, or does that really change the route significantly compared to any percent?
Yeah. So for the most part, I would say it is kind of like any percent, but adding some items. There is some changing. We are changing some dungeon orders. There's a lot more overworld movement. But in terms of like gameplay and game style, they are extremely similar. But like I said, the route does have to change a little bit, and then you have a few more like items in your toolbox, like the boomerang and things like that, that allow you to do some interesting strats that you wouldn't be able to do in any percent. But for the most part, it's again just kind of player preference. Do you want to run a hour and 20-minute category or 50-minute category? It just depends on what you're more comfortable with in terms of length. But they're very similar in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, and a trick that I know that a lot of people are familiar with, and maybe is even a bit of a deterrent sometimes for people to pick up these games, is the cutscene skips. I mean, they're kind of famously, it's one of those hard to manipulate things. Are you using the cutscene skips in this run, or is that even a thing in this run currently?
It's not really a thing. Some people would say it's not really a thing in this game, even though it technically exists. Whereas in the original black and white version, you can skip the instrument cutscenes fairly easily, and it's done in runs with pretty solid consistency for the most part. Whereas in this game, it requires having the mushroom and a blank ocarina, neither of which we can get because we need the
Right.
mushroom. We need to have powder for upgrades, and we need to have songs in our ocarina. So we can't have either of those. And so it's not really a thing in this category. It
Right.
is being explored in other categories, most notably reverse dungeon order, and more recently it's been being explored in no woob 80%.
Mhm.
But the thing about it is that it's frame roll dependent, and frame roll is every other frame in this game. So uh, it just depends if you're on even frame or odd frame, whether it'll work or not. So it's just 50-50. So it's not really something that's consistent or something that people really want to go for unless
Yeah,
it's a
it's like
huge time save.
right, having to do a great speed run and then guess a bunch of coin flips correctly, basically. I mean,
Yep.
you basically a bunch of 50-50 shots that have to go your way. That's a pretty tough requirement for a run.
Right.
So you're going to be showing off some new strats in this run, right? Besides,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
those we've discussed.
Yeah, especially compared to the last time this category was featured at a GDQ, which was SGDQ 2016. There's a completely new route. The game was rerouted by the runner sagas in 2018 to feature a really cool trick that allows us to get the hook shot early,
Mhm.
which is something that's really interesting. We'll see later. A new variant of rooster skip. The skip having to get the rooster to get the bird key. And then a few like extra neat little strats that we can do with our shield and with our sword that allow us to chain super jumps together and change Link's momentum certain ways that allows us to get to ledges quicker. I
Mhm.
mean, the cool thing about these strats is that a lot of them don't even save that much time, but they're just really difficult. And so um, I usually like to go for all of those and try to get all of my runs, even if they only save like between 2 and 6 seconds. They're kind of neat. We'll see some of that in D3. So I want to try to go for those, and hopefully I get them.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Just like putting the tricks in, not because you really need the time savings, but just because the tricks are there. It's kind of part of the art
Mhm.
form. Just include it in the run. Right?
For sure.
All right. So real quick here, for without giving too much away here, I'm told the very end of this game is going to be very interesting, particularly for people who are already familiar with this game. There's going to be some stuff they may not have seen before.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this game um, since 2018 when this was discovered, there's a brand new RNG manipulation to control the outcome of the final boss 100% consistently, as long as you can stand on the right pixels. Um, so if you've played this game in the past or speedrun in the past, you know that the last boss, Aghanim, is an absolute pain in the butt.
Mm.
Because it's just 50-50 whether he'll shoot blue ball or round ball at you, just like in A Link to the Past. So it's absolutely horrible for speedruns. But recently, in the last couple of years, Black SR discovered a manipulation for that final boss that allows us to control it 100% consistently and make the speedrun much more friendly, if you were to put it.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. Final boss is the last place that you want a bunch of RNG to to stop your run.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, GlyphDX, for talking with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And good luck on your run. GlyphDX is going to be running Link's Awakening DX coming up after the next run, so stick around.